And this time, we're going to have Nuremberg too. And they ain't going to like that very much, and they know that.
By the way, just received an email here. Earlier today, I got a call from Washington State. Both RBN and GCN were knocked off the Internet. I just got a email from somebody that says, I've been cut off from Tuesday's show with Bob Chapman 5 times in 18 minutes. Even though I switched to your other connection, there's no contact. Someone is blocking your show today. Mr. J, don't give up. We know the ne'er-do-wells. They go in, attack things for a little while, and then they have to necessarily back off before we can track down exactly what building in Langley is doing the dirty deed. So just hang in there. A word more about Iran when we get back. We'll get into economic and financial things as well this afternoon. So everybody just hang in there. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the National Intel Report, the Real Talk Radio show.
Sherwood Ross of Global Research wrote that in 1953, the CIA-directed coup restored the Shah, or the King, to absolute power, initiating what journalist William Blum in Rogue State called a period of 25 years of repression and torture, while the oil industry was restored to foreign ownership, and the U.S. and Britain each getting 40%. At about that same time in Guatemala, Blum adds, a CIA-organized coup overthrew the democratically elected and progressive government of Jacobo Arbenz, initiating 40 years of military government death squads, torture, disappearances, mass executions, and unimaginable cruelty. I could go down the list: Laos, Guyana, South Africa, you name it. A lot of people are calling for the end of the CIA. Ironically, the dead president from the 60s, John F. Kennedy, wanted to do the same thing. In his words, he wanted to spread the CIA to the four winds. Pretty amazing stuff. And here it is. They've distributed $400 million inside Iran to try to start this revolution. And former Pakistani Army General Mirza Aslam Beg claims the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency has distributed $400 million inside Iran to evoke a revolution. In a phone interview with Pashto Radio yesterday, General Beg said that there is undisputed intelligence proving the U.S. interference in Iran. The documents prove the CIA spent $400 million inside Iran to prop up a colorful, hollow revolution following the election. Pakistan's former army chief of Joint Staff went on to say that the U.S. wanted to disturb the situation in Iran and bring to power a pro-U.S. government regime. He congratulated Ahmadinejad on his re-election, and he said Pakistan, in relationship with Iran, has improved dramatically during his 4 years as president, and Ahmadinejad's re-election is a decisive point in regional policy, and if Pakistan and Afghanistan unite with Iran, the U.S. has to leave the area, especially the occupied Afghanistan. So there it is, folks. Our wonderful CIA, our Langley boys, which many people are calling for. The CIA can't be fixed. What they've done worldwide in death squads, setting up revolutions, promoting the wrong people to overthrow governments. I mean, it's horrendous. And people in this country still don't understand why countries around the world absolutely hate us, because they know that the United States government has been absolutely silent on these CIA coups. I mean, looking like the good guys wearing the white hats while we're promoting death squads and basically death all over the place. It's a horrible situation. 2, 3, 4.
I think that that general is to be commended. Can you imagine the danger he's put himself into?
Yeah. Well, some people have got to step up to the plate, otherwise the internationalists are going to win the game.
Well, I think you're right, and I'm glad to see that he's doing that, and we do that every day here. And I suppose they'll try to come around and collect us sooner or later. But there's not many people who speak out. And I just wanted to make that point. People, go with the flow.
Well, if you speak out like Ron Paul and vote against the resolution condemning Iran, then you become un-American. You become a low-level terrorist.
Well, we've set up this entire terrorism ring. We had to build a bad guy that we could wage perpetual war on. This is the same modus operandi that these people have been doing for years, only they did it in a more classical sense before, where we had countries and borders and, front lines and recognizable flags and troops wearing uniforms. All this has devolved into clandestine operations, and it's all blanketed under the reasons of national security. We don't want to tip off the bad guys, which we created. We've got so many CIA assets around this world. It's absolutely incredible. I don't even know how the hell the CIA pays for it all.
Well, don't you remember how the first Gulf War started? I mean, what was it? Can you remember the exact tipping point that swayed a majority of public opinion for George Bush I's war against Iraq? Can you remember what it was?
Do tell.
It was the weeping princess before Congress, the Kuwaiti princess, who was recounting stories about how Saddam's Republican Guard, their first area of attack in Kuwait was the children's hospital, where they pulled babies out of incubators and bayoneted them to death on the floor of the hospital room, which was completely made up, obviously.
Sounds like World War I and World War II.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean,
it's the same stories over and over
and
over.
Sure, this Nadia, whoever she is, it's the same thing. And then we go back to Gulf War II. I mean, who can forget about Rambo dressed in a skirt, going down blazing with an M16 firing, taking out artillery teams. What was her name? Jessica or something? Remember that?
Yeah, and it all turned out to be a lie.
Yeah, well, it all turns out to be a lie.
Yeah, but they're counting on it drags out long enough, and there's enough verbiage put out there that people will forget what the original lie was.
Well, sure. I mean, CNN is the covert television arm of the CIA. I mean, I just can't believe. I mean, if they've run that video once, they've run it 1,000 times. And nobody's questioned it. Except for...
Everybody's afraid to.
Yeah, well, sure. Because...
I mean, people hear us in these programs and they think that, we're really sticking our neck out, but nobody else will.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's...
I mean, the other hosts do as well. And there's not enough of them. I wish there were 10,000 more. To make my job and John's job and your job much easier. But that's not the way it is. There's, not a whole lot of huevos out there.
And it's always the same players, always the Henry Kissingers. It was Henry Kissinger that actually sold Rhodesia down the river.
Well, Lord Carrington was right there with them.
Yep.
And I was there, before. Were you still there?
I left in 65.
I left in 73. So I just, kind of missed it. But I knew all the players just like you did.
Yep.
And it was a total sellout. The winds of change. And I kept telling everybody in London, it's a sellout. Ian Smith has sold the country out.
Well, he didn't pretty much have a chance, because Kissinger went to South Africa and he said, listen, if you give any more aid and support to Rhodesia, we are going to bring the wrath of international sanctions down on you. And South Africa folded like a cheap suit, And went
That's true.
went to Ian Smith and said, "Hey, buddy, sorry, man, but you're on your own."
Yep, that is absolutely truthful. And then they didn't have the guts to save their own country
Yeah.
in South Africa.
I guess it's a thing called karma.
By the way,
Okay.
on the
And incidentally, now it's all gone back to the bush. Right?
Listen, it is so bad in Rhodesia that the elephants are leaving the country.
I don't blame them.
And I'm not kidding. I'm being dead serious.
It's
Elephants.
for Zambia or what?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Zambians are a little upset. They've got herds of elephants stampeding across the border